First opportunity for me to be in front of you since a couple tragic things have happened. First, to the UCF family, all the former players, everybody connected with that program. Lost a great teammate, great person, someone that absolutely loved life, and Jake Hescock. And, my heart goes out to his entire family and all those that know him. And just another young man that's gone way too early. Also, college football lost an iconic figure in Mike Leach, someone that changed the way people thought about the game. One of the most unique individuals that I've come into contact with, someone that had a huge impact on my career, how we think about the game, how we think about offensive football, but also someone that gave me a shot in college football, and so grateful to him for everything that he's really helped me accomplish. And my heart and thoughts and prayers are obviously with Sharon and their entire family as they go through the grieving process. And obviously you guys saw today that we also flipped the page and started some of our bowl prep here. We've got some good work in with our young guys in particular. Up until this point, our vets have started working back into things here over the last 3-4 days. As we get through this weekend, we'll kind of turn the page and head towards Clemson in our preparation. Clemson, obviously a great football team. They been doing it at a really high level for a long time. Defensively, one of the top teams in the country. Extremely aggressive in what they do. They got great personnel offensively. New quarterback that played in a dynamic way in their conference championship game. But great skill players out on the perimeter as well, and a huge test, but a great opportunity for our football program here at the end of the month, and excited about that. We have a bunch of mid-year enrollees you guys got a chance to see a little bit of today as well. Excited to have them part of our program, what's going on, get this experience here, practices at home, but also a lot of them will be able to go to the bowl site as well. Excited for them. I'll talk about those guys here when we get to signing day as well. So I'll open it up to some questions for you guys here at this point.
Austin and then Brent. Let's go back to Coach Leach. Did you, I think everybody saw the footage from 1999 or whatever, in coaching you. Did anything kind of snap back into memory of like a talk you had when you were 21-year-old, that maybe kind of, I know your dad's a coach, but kind of had an impact on you wanting to get into coaching through him?
Yeah, that clip, man, it was a long time ago, and at the same time it feels like that, seems like yesterday. Remember that moment really clearly. When I got there, that was the last practice that he was at Oklahoma. It hadn't become public that he was taking the job at Texas Tech yet. That opportunity to talk to him, excited for him, and obviously, he and I just, in that year, being able to kind of flip what was going on offensively, what had been done there before, and obviously with Bob and the entire staff and that group of individuals, flip the trajectory of Oklahoma football. Just, really thankful for what he poured into me. There's a million conversations that had nothing to do with football. They might have started out with football, but they quickly transitioned into life that you remember with him. Had an opportunity to talk to him maybe 2 weeks left to go in the regular season, late night conversation, and my wife wasn't listening to the entire conversation, but she heard it start with football, go way off the beaten path, and somehow navigate back to football at the very end of it. For Mike, just being with him every day in the meeting room, just schematically how he thought at that time. There were very few people that were that wide open and thought differently. And the way the game's played in space in today's game, it's a direct reflection of him and his thought pattern. For sure, how he thought about the game, how he allowed his quarterbacks to be a part of the game and have control out there on game day. Those are all things that played a major role in me ultimately wanting to get into football and coaching.
Rick?
I know you're going to talk about the individuals on Wednesday, but just having a collection, that many people here, is there to, there's a lot of excitement around them, but you also have a 10-win football team with a big bowl game. Is there any kind of balancing to make sure that they're not a story, or they're, you know, that they're not, I don't want to say in the way, but you know what I mean, that you kind of balance those guys?
Yeah, you guys will make them the story. We won't make them the story. It's awesome to have those guys here. The great thing about, you know, the way recruiting is in today's world is they've been around our players a bunch, and they're already connected. That group as they come here on campus, but also to our football team. You know, the focus for us is getting our players ready to go play here. The early part of bowl prep has been about getting our young guys a ton of reps and helping them grow as a football player. As our older guys had a little bit of time to kind of heal up from the season. Having them here on campus, you get them started primarily through individual, maybe some one-on-one sessions where they're able to grow in understanding of what we want. We spend a little bit of extra time with them on the back end of practice, you know, 10 to 15 minutes, being intentional and helping them grow where they're gaining something out of the experience. But, you know, they learn the culture, right? We set the parameters of who we are and what we do. It's a great opportunity for them to spend 2 weeks here and kind of get a feel for that. I think the biggest thing out of this bowl preparation for the young guys that come in is they understand the speed, the urgency that you have to have. I think it accelerates their urgency when they get back here in January, where they're very intentional in growing every single day to get themselves in a position to be ready for spring ball.
Patrick and Zach.
Coach, a couple things on Jalin Hyatt, obviously winning the Blitz call.
Yeah.
Your reaction to him.
Yeah, I haven't even had a chance to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it was a long time ago. Just your
Yeah.
reaction to winning that, and also his decision. What involvement did you have? What were your conversations like with him?
Yeah. What an awesome story, right? Proud of him. All of those individual awards come through team success and in a team working together, and so extremely excited for him. Excited for our football team that he gets recognized in that way. You know, the season that he had. Everybody's heard the story, right? Wanting to be a great player versus working to be a great player. Man, he paid the price, and he reaped the rewards. Really proud of him and what he accomplished all year long, and it's a great story that will live forever inside of this building for our future players and future teams. At the same time, the NFL process for all of our guys, we want guys to have the opportunity to go to that level and to be a high draft pick and maximize their value. The conversations we use, you know, not just coaches but resources, and you try to get them the right information in front of them so that they can make a right decision for them and their family. And whether that's, you know, Jalin, whether it's Darnell, all those guys, you feel like they have the education, they have the information, but then you let them make a great decision. And excited for Jalin, his future. Know he's going to be a high draft pick, and excited that you know, we got a part or had a huge part in his journey, and you know, this is going to be his home forever.
Josh, we talked to you, I think during the SEC Media Days about maybe the NCAA calendar and kind of where things fall. And you expressed maybe some desire to see some changes. I know this is a crazy time of year for you guys. Do you still kind of feel that way, or is this maybe just the way things work out right now?
Yeah, I think, you know, there's going to have to continue to be, you know, changes to the calendar. That's recruiting calendar. It's, you know, the amount of dead time that you have where you can focus and emphasize, you know, what's going on inside of your own building. There's a lot of balls that have to be juggled in the air here once it hits December, and finding the right balance, I think it's something that you know, the NCAA is going to have to take a hard look at, and you know, obviously our coaches association should be a huge part of that, and in trying to find the right way to structure and balance everything here throughout the 12-month calendar.
You had a very highly anticipated early enrollee in practice today. What have been your early impressions of Nico, and will he be able to practice with you guys in Miami as well?
Yeah, we're going to talk about all the young guys on sign-in day, but excited to have all those guys here.
Brent.
You feel pretty good about where you are health-wise now that you've had a few weeks after the season? Is there anything long-term? I know Trayvon's missed some time. Do you anticipate him being back? Do you feel like you can be pretty full speed from a health standpoint?
I do feel like, you know, by the time that we get to the major part of our prep, but certainly by the time we get to Miami, we should be pretty healthy and ready to go compete with everybody.
Patrick?
Following up on that, Taven looked like he was doing some stuff out there today. Is he going to be available to play, do you think, Taven, or is he?
Yeah, I think if we continue down the stretch that we have, he's been back, he's been practicing here the last week. As long as we continue on that, I feel like he'll be available for us when we get to Miami.
We'll finish with Patrick here.
Cedric's another guy that's not doing the game, not playing the game, going to the NFL. Obviously, he had the injury. How healthy was he the last month of the season, and kind of what was sort of his long-lasting impact on your program?
Yeah, I think that's a really unique situation. A young guy that obviously played extremely well a year ago, was ready to play extremely well this year too. From week 3 or week 4, whatever it was, obviously had the surgery, just hasn't been at 100%. And I love that he came back and tried to compete on the back end of the season. I think that shows, his heart for his teammates, for this program. And, for him, just as he's getting ready for the draft process, I think it's important that he gets to the point where he's 100%. And, for him, this month here has got a chance to help him heal up and be ready for the back end of the NFL process.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.